Well, hello, my guys, my gals, my ghouls and ghoulettes, and everyone here, there, and everywhere. Welcome back to
Where the ghoulies spill the tea.
Thank you so much for joining us on our esoteric journey, fellow listeners. Today we have a special episode all about the OG woo-woo girlies. Yes, old wives' tales. So, woo-woo girlies. A specific aesthetic comes to mind when we think about woo-woo girlies. We're thinking crystals, we're thinking Fleetwood Mac, we're thinking someone who's asking your birth chart on a first date and wondering, maybe I shouldn't go or maybe I should swipe right a little harder. Who's to say? But I'm pretty confident in saying that the both of us here have some woo-woo tendencies. So, Jess, when did you first encounter woo-woo stuff? And what made you decide to embrace being a woo-woo girly?
I actually believe my first encounter with the woo-woo stuff was towards middle school, where I think I had found a book in the school library, which was unintentional, regarding like astrology and things like that. And I got so interested in astrology. So I'm like, oh, let me look up my sign. Let me look up everybody else's sign. Let me see how everybody interacts with everybody. And then I did become the girl in middle school and high school when I was dating someone that I would ask for their sign, see if we were compatible. And if we weren't, I was like, fuck it, I'll give it a try. And when it didn't work out, I was like, oh.
Oddly enough, I'm an Aries and my husband is a Cancer, a crab, and we should not work out. And yet somehow we do. So, you would think that would make me stop embracing the woo-woo. It's only made me embrace it more because I have to figure out why that is. Why us specifically? I never had a chance. You want to know how I started with woo-woo stuff?
How did you start, Lady Mel?
So those of you of a certain age and background are going to understand mucho amor.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
My grandmother had Walter Mercado playing in her kitchen television growing up. And I remember looking at this beautiful human being going like, wow, I want to be in a place with like capes and telling people what's going to happen to them during their day. And I never had a chance. I needed to know. So I devoured everything I could about astrology, about magic. I eventually gravitated towards Greco-Roman mythology where I found my patroness. And the rest is, as they say, history.
You know what? That is so very true. Once you start and you're just devouring the knowledge, you can't really stop yourself from continuing to delve in for more information.
And it just make like a fun community too, because as I got older and I met others like woo-woo and spiritually inclined girlies, those tended to be like my friends. Here we are, for example.
The best of the woo-woos.
The woo-woos, if you were.
The ooh-wooiest.
The ooh-woos and the oh-woos. But no, today's ep is going to be specifically about just kind of old wives' tales. What they are, how they connect to woo-woo girlies, and much like the Florida Man episode, we will have a multicultural, multi-continental game to play at the end of this one. So you'll want to stick around for that.
Oh God, here comes my very bad memory of what's a continent, what's a country, what's a state.
I promise it'll be fun. So, we're going to start off with why they are called old wives' tales to begin with. So, an old wives' tale is a colloquial expression referring to spurious or superstitious claims. They can be said sometimes to be a type of urban legend, said to be passed down by older women to a younger generation. Such tales are considered superstition, folklore, or unverified claims with exaggerated and or inaccurate details. Old wives' tales often center on women's traditional concerns such as pregnancy, puberty, social relations, health, herbalism, and nutrition. So, this is one of those eps that's going to get a little historical, and I'm going to shout out to the source I used for this research, which is Witchcraft, Women, and the Healing Arts in the Early Modern Period, Wise Women and Cunning Folk Healers, written and held at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. So shout out to Alabama. We didn't quite leave you this time, buddy. You're almost becoming Florida.
We are going a lot around Alabama. Maybe there's something there.
A few things. I heard there was a white fang in the woods, just like the Sasquatch. I might need to follow up on that.
Well, we will need to follow up on that.
I'm going to end up with like a harem of monsters. I'm going to have the Jersey Devil, the White Fang, the Sasquatch. I feel like that's a dating sim in the making, and I need to put that in a pin for one of my many other side projects.
Believe it or not,
Stop.
believe it or not, I'm acquaintances with a developer that she does novel dating sims, and the one she's currently working on are all the cryptids.
Stop. Oh, we need to get a drink.
I will see if there's a way I can introduce you two. You guys will love each other.
Glorious, wonderful, based, and blessed. Alrighty. So, during the early modern period, yes, the Renaissance days, university-trained physicians were fewer, further in between, and more expensive than the various types of unlicensed healers of the community. Therefore, many people resorted to local wise women, also known as cunning folk, including, men and women, folks of multiple gender persuasions and presentation, herbal folk healers whose knowledge was passed down through generations or learned through exploration of the nearby fields and forests. Now, this being the time that it was, many of these such healers were illiterate, and so they came up with rhymes and songs to remember their concoctions. Now, think about how so many witches' spells rhyme.
You're not wrong, but anything rhyming or like almost witch-esque, I just remember from early childhood, which is sana sana culito de rana, si no se cura hoy, se cura mañana.
Oh, we're gonna get to that too. There's a whole section on curanderos.
Beautiful.
So yeah, like the fact that they needed to remember their ingredients without like being able to read them or looking up, like they went for something that's, would hit the neurons in the brain for memory, which was, repetition and rhyme. So that inspired witches' spells found in literature and myth, such as the one chanted by Shakespeare's Weird Sisters. So like in the Scottish play or Macbeth, they have, boil, boil, toil and trouble, fire, burn, cauldron, bubble, like that whole thing was, inspired by, some folk healing and folk medicine.
So in other words, they're trying to remember that they have to make sure the water is boiling within the cauldron because it's a big enough container to put in all their ingredients for whatever they need to concoct.
Correct. And old cookbooks from that era are a trip because it's like cook until done. How do you know when it's done? It's done.
You should know already.
It's like my favorite definition of a horse, which was found in like a Polish dictionary in the 1400s. Everyone knows what a horse is.
Dear Lord. It's also like the recipes our grandmas or our even family members, if we can find them, bring down, where it's like a pinch of this, a garnish of that. It's like, what do you mean a pinch?
Boy, is there a whole ongoing debate and a side project I'm working about pinches, dashes, and actual measurements. Boy, howdy. Women were more common in the roles of cunning folk. As they got older, their former responsibilities of caring for the health of a family often extended to the greater community. Some historians have proposed that the witch hunts represented a concerted effort to drive women out of healthcare. And certainly this period shows a significant shift towards licensures and educated, university-educated male practitioners. However, others have argued that this campaign had less to do with gender than professionalization of the medical field. So we're basically at an intersection where faith and science are clashing for the first of what will be many, many, many times in history. So instead of allowing women to go to medical school, they're just like, nope, what you're doing doesn't work. We're just going to throw these guys who've been grave robbing and, studying corpses. They're going to heal everybody. Now, again, we are woo-woo girlies, but we are proponents of science. We believe in, gravity and vaccines and all that good stuff. But that also is reflective of how, when there have been opportunities to allow women into those fields, we've usually had to fight for them.
It kind of sucks as well because this is, in a sense, going back, and this is rehashing back to the Jersey Devil when you asked me about my birth story. My practitioner for my baby was a man, and I felt extremely comfortable with him. He was very nice. He knew what he was talking about. But he has a female partner. So whoever was on call for the day of labor was who I was going to get. And the way the woman had treated me was, in a sense, like she just wanted to get out of there. And like she was sewing me up. I had a first degree tear. She was sewing me up. And the nurse legitimately said, let me get you some lidocaine so you don't have the pain. And the doctor says she doesn't need it and started sewing me. And I was super sensitive just after delivering a baby.
Like a whole ass baby.
And legitimately, it took my mom getting almost in the doctor's face and like putting on a tough voice going, she's in pain, get her the lidocaine. She told you she's in pain, for that doctor to even listen. And that doctor was a woman.
No, healthcare in the States is all kinds of messed up. And there's definitely been instances where, having to toughen up to make it in a male-dominated field really messes with our empathy, which is no excuse for why that happened, mind you. So, what I mentioned before has more of like a Eurocentric look. We can also talk about how this presented in Latin America. Curanderos are the result of the mixture of traditional indigenous medicinal practices and Catholic rituals. Curandero or curandera comes from the root curar in Spanish, which translates to cure. Thus, a curandero or curandera is one who heals. Understandings of medicine and curing in Spanish America came from multiple different cultures, including Mesoamerican, European, and African. As access to hospitals and licensed medical doctors was rare in Latin America, the population relied on local ideas about what could cause illness and what could cure it. To seek the help of a curandera was not unusual in Latin American society, despite the fact that the Inquisition kept a close eye on medical practitioners in colonial society. Females and males of different economic statuses and different ethnic backgrounds all employed curanderas, or curanderos. Now, the ailments that these healers cured included blindness, stomach sickness, toothaches, dropsy, also known as hydropesia, and supernatural illnesses. So they healed the physical and the metaphysical, or so they claimed.
You know what? I kind of understand that because I know that some people would state, I'm not sure in which country it is. There's a name for the specific spirit. I know they have one in Japan as well, where you would try to sleep and the spirit would just sit on your chest and it will slowly crush your chest so you couldn't breathe. And some people that aren't spiritual will go, oh, that's sleep apnea.
I mean, that also could have been a cat.
You know what? You're right.
Look, I have one that likes to sleep on my chest. He also likes to open up my eyelid to make sure that I'm awake to feed him. Historian Martha Few found records of male curanderos called curanderos sangradores, who were like legitimate bloodletters. So they, would, you gotta bleed? All right, we're gonna open you up. We're gonna get some leeches. We're gonna get that bad blood out of the system, quite literally. Martha Few also documented the account of Felipa de Jerez, a woman who had been blinded, regarding her interactions with a colonial Guatemalan curandera, Maria Garcia, who had made a reputation in her town as a successful healer. Reputation was important to be a successful curandera. Female healers depended on gossip, word of mouth, and practicing cures in front of other people in order to build a successful reputation. So spilling the tea is literally a healing process.
You know what also drives me is the fact that it's based on reputation. What is stopping these select people of this time from going to their friends, hey, I need more help in business, I need you to pretend, and we'll do this, and then I'll give you a little bit of the money that comes through.
And that's the thing. Nothing's really stopping them. It's all based on reputation. Like it's based. It's almost like clout chasing has never stopped existing. It's just existed in different forms over time, depending on what people value. Furthermore, some curanderas were known for having reputations for curing specific kinds of ailments. For example, Few, the author, not just few people, Few describes how Maria Garcia was known to specialize in healing illnesses caused by spell casting. So her whole thing was gonna just to diagnose you with, well, you've been cursed, better do a thing about it, which reminds me of one of my favorite memes I've ever read on the internet, which is like an old-timey doctor, drunk as fuck. Well, looks like you've got ghosts in the blood, better do cocaine about it. Yeah, no, shout out to the Pharmacy Museum of New Orleans because, again, there are pictures I will share at some point, but it's heroin for dentistry was certainly a thing. Like, we talk about how folk like healing isn't great. You could sell cocaine in pharmacies for a time, medically licensed, and then there were the medicinal butt plugs. I'm telling you, there's a whole episode on that.
Medicinal butt plugs?
To loosen you up.
For what?
For stress.
Or colonoscopies.
I mean, that would be pretty stressful. Curanderos go beyond Western medicine, at times linking illness with spells, sorcery, gods, or evil spirits. Mesoamerican culture believed the causes of illness to be binary. Either they were natural or supernatural. Now, these supernatural origins could be fright or just el susto, evil air or winds, mal aire, or aggressive sorcery, straight up brujeria. Because of this supernatural understanding of illness and the religious influence of the Catholic Inquisition, female folk healers were often conflated with brujas. I wore the right shirt for this today.
Ghoulies, she really did wear the correct shirt for today.
I'll take a picture of it later. The Inquisition found such accusations to be plausible and worrisome, as evidenced by the records of officials pursuing criminal cases against curanderas. The Inquisition was mostly concerned with the supernatural aspect of healers, rather than the botanical or medicinal remedies that were used. In the case of Maria Garcia, the Inquisition's investigation into her began because of accusations from female residents in her community who alleged her to be practicing sorcery and accessing the supernatural. It was not unusual for the Inquisition to rely on gossip, even from unofficial sources, as reason to investigate a curandera. Gossip surrounding curanderas actively legitimized their powers in the community and enhanced their reputations. But this attention also drew the notice of colonial authorities. Community gossip interacted and intersected with colonial authorities, and tipped off by the gossip, officials searched and collected accounts and used them in official records of the Inquisition court. Gossip in the community had two roles, functioning as a double-edged sword. It both legitimized women's power and provided the basis for their arrest. Which leads me to one of my favorite one of my favorite new idioms, which is, you need to be careful where you spill the tea because spills leave stains.
That is a beautiful idiom, and that is so true.
So we've heard a bit about the historical background, about folk healing, superstitions, old wives' tales, and whatnot. Let's talk a little bit about method to the madness. Mind you, this is all coming from the World Health Organization. For centuries across countries, people have turned to traditional healers, home remedies, and ancient medicinal knowledge to address their health and well-being needs. So according to the WHO Global Report on Traditional and Complementary Medicine, mind you, this was before 2019. How auspicious is that? How auspicious is that?
In other words, whoo.
Whoo-wee, even. Various systems of traditional medicine being used around the world include acupuncture, herbal medicines, indigenous traditional medicine, homeopathy, traditional Chinese medicine, naturopathy, chiropractic osteopathy, Ayurvedic, and Unani medicine. I think I got that all right the first go.
I believe you did.
So clearly my mind is biased towards the woo-woo and not the medicinal. I apologize for that. Less of a drinking game. And at least we'll see what happens when I get a little further. And 170 WHO member states have reported on the use of traditional medicine by their populations. Traditional medicine is sometimes seen as pre-scientific, its practices and treatments to be replaced by modern, better, more efficient science-based medicine. What is less known, however, is its contribution to modern science and medicine, and a long history of traditional products and practices being translated into effective treatments for health conditions. So it's not that you should replace modern medicine with the traditional, but you should respect that a lot of our knowledge of modern medicine comes from the traditional steps taken before it. Like, that had to walk before modern medicine could run. Around 40% of pharmaceutical products today draw from nature and traditional knowledge, including landmark drugs. Here we go. Here are the drugs. Okay, drugs are likely. Aspirin, artemisinin, and childhood cancer treatments. A closer look at these drugs reveals that the scientists behind them built off traditional knowledge to achieve their breakthrough discoveries. So we're going to go into tapping nature and indigenous knowledge to advance modern medicine. So after testing unsuccessfully over 240,000 compounds for use in antimalarials, Chinese scientist Tu Youyou, head of the Project 523 to discover a cure for chloroquine-resistant malaria, turned to traditional Chinese medical literature for clues. There, she and her team found a reference to sweet wormwood to treat intermittent fevers. In 1971, Tu Youyou's team isolated artemisinin, an active compound in sweet wormwood that was particularly effective in treating malaria. Artemisinin is now recommended by the World Health Organization as the first and second line of treatment for malaria, In 2015, Tu Youyou was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology for Medicine for her work on malaria, which has saved millions of lives. So yeah, going back and reading traditional Chinese medicine led to a newer and more effective malaria treatment.
And based on my knowledge from Chinese dramas, the Chinese, and I know there are other cultures and other, mainly cultures, because I know religions are something completely different, have a very detailed and are very note-oriented on their medical practices traditionally, especially around the dynasties for Chinese, because the better you were as a doctor, the more notes people wanted to see.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure that they could recreate the effects. It's the scientific method before it had a name. Just, view, observe, hypothesize, experiment, all that good stuff. Willow bark as the basis of aspirin is another example of how nature and traditional knowledge have contributed to modern medicine. Over 3,500 years ago, bark from the willow tree was used as a pain reliever and an anti-inflammatory by Sumerians and Egyptians. In later years, it was used to ease the pain of childbirth in ancient Greece and cure fevers. In 1897, Bayer chemist Felix Hoffmann synthesized aspirin, and the drug has gone on to improve and save the lives of millions of people every day, with multiple benefits including preventing heart attack or stroke, improving blood pressure, and relieving pain and swelling. Aspirin is now one of the most used drugs in the world.
To think that there was something to help relieve childbirth, and then someone ended up coming up with a chainsaw to help with delivering of a child.
Science and healing are not linear.
They are not. They are completely not.
Bit of a roller coaster ride on that graph. Not the same circle in the Venn diagram for sure. Now, aside from sweet wormwood and willow bark, the Madagascar periwinkle, hawthorn, foxglove, star anise, and wild Mexican yam have contributed to medicinal breakthroughs including childhood cancer medications and contraceptive pills. The Madagascar periwinkle, which is now the source of childhood cancer drugs vinblastine and vincristine, has an exceptionally long history of being used as a medicinal plant and finds mention in Mesopotamian folklore, the Ayurveda system of traditional Indian medicine, as well as traditional Chinese medicine. Medicinal plants like hawthorn and foxglove have been used to treat cardiovascular disease and hypertension. Other examples include shikimic acid that is drawn from star anise and used in the manufacturing of Tamiflu, antiviral medication that blocks the actions of influenza virus types A and B in the body, and norethindrone, derived from the wild Mexican yam that is one of the first active ingredients in contraceptive pills. Modern medicine is built on what nature has to offer, and has drawn upon traditional systems of knowledge of how these medicinal plants, herbs, roots, and bark were wielded to cure diseases across civilizations and across centuries. The intersection between science and woo-woo has been historically closer than we think. It's a deeply human desire and experience to try to find meaning in things we don't quite understand. Sometimes we're correct, sometimes we're not. And most often, we have most of an idea of what's happening, but tend to be missing critical pieces of knowledge that come to us through scientific breakthroughs. Old wives' tales are very much narratives of generations who had their ideas of how the world worked, or at the very least, very strong opinions about it. And because I've gone deep into the scientific and historical parts of them for this section, we're going to go into the other reason old wives' tales have endured as long as they have. They are reflections of culture. So we're going to talk a little bit about Cosas de la Casa, wherein Jessica and I will talk about Cuban and Latin American old wives' tales as we have experienced them. So let's start with an old classic, Azabache and Mal Ojo.
So actually, my baby girl actually has an azabache. For us, an azabache is to ward off the evil eye, el mal de ojo, which I think in Turkish, they also have, their blue one is also called the evil eye.
Exactly, yes.
But that's legitimate to ward off bad intentions. And the evil eye is never really malicious because sometimes people do it unintentionally.
No, it's more like an idea of a protection. So, when a culture has something like that, then a culture values protection and care, especially for those most vulnerable.
Yes.
They also display a lack of trust for the general population around them.
Oh, fuck yeah. I know when we first took out baby girl, she was a month old. We wanted to get food. we took her out, and like the couple that was sitting behind us, very nice old American couple, saw her and like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. How old is she? We're like, she's just a month. They're like, oh my God, you have her out so young in the cold. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, we're in Florida.
Wait, cold? In Florida? Excuse me?
Mind you, we keep the house around like 70, 69 degrees. If you have this house higher than 72 degrees, baby girl will complain and she'll cry.
She knows what she wants. You're respecting her bodily needs early, as we should.
Yeah, but I'm freezing my ass off.
Same, but we'll get to that one. So yeah, my one is, one of them is don't rock empty rocking chairs. So my grandmother, Mima, she was the calmest person I ever knew. So when she saw me rock a chair and raised her voice to me, I understood that I was doing something serious and to stop. So it turns out, in our culture, a chair rocking by itself means that death is imminent. And in some cases, it's the belief that the death will be of the youngest member of the family. So guess who I was at the time I was rocking the chair?
The youngest of the family.
So that was a reflection of her wanting, again, to protect me, to keep me from calling on bad fortune that would hurt me.
Ooh. For me, I think they told me it was, you don't rock an empty chair, you don't swing anything that's empty, because you're inviting a spirit to stay.
So what does that tell us about our cultures?
Spiritually active.
Indeed. And very spoopy, very woo-woo. Another one is never put your purse on the floor. I am guilty of this, and I am consistently broke. Make of that what you will, ghoulies.
Same.
No, es que, I always hear it's like, te sale el dinero, te vas a perder tu dinero si dejas la cartera en el piso.
There's another one towards that one.
Oh, what is it?
Whenever you have money in your wallet, you have to make sure all the faces are facing the same way so more money keeps coming into you.
So what does that tell us about our culture? We want to make sure that we have everything in a row, that everything lined up, and we want to keep our fortune where we can see it and not just leave it stranded where it's just where anyone can grab it. You know what I mean? That's less about, being like a curse to be broke and more about being mindful and cognizant about where your finances are. And I do not have much hair to speak on this one, but drying your hair before you go out.
Oh, yeah. I think for me it was, and I'm guilty of this because I have longer hair.
Yeah, I have a pixie cut, so there's only really so much drying I actually have to do here.
You know what? I love that pixie cut on you, though.
Thank you. It makes me look very mischievous, and mostly because I am.
You are. You are the fae of my life.
Aww.
I know for mine, I'm guilty of leaving with my hair wet. And I think they mainly told me is that if you leave with your hair wet, you're going to get sick.
But back when I had longer hair, yes. You had to dry your hair. Didn't matter what the temperature was. You were going to get sick if you had wet hair and went out.
What about walking on the floor barefoot?
Oh, no. My dad would get so mad at me. Ponte media, cool. And he'd just go and hunt and find socks and just throw them at me so I could throw them on. He just did not want me to suck up the cold or whatever germs were on the floor to just... I still, to this day, I have a variety of cute socks thanks to that. Variety of cute socks. And the last one is ponte un suéter. So, to be honest, I lost a not small amount of weight on purpose. And now I'm always cold as a result. And this one hits really different to me. Now I feel it in my bones constantly.
Yeah, I completely agree. My grandma right now is here at home. She's always with a sweater because she's freezing. And my husband's overheating.
So things that our culture values, making sure that we are healthy, making sure that we are safe, making sure that we have everything we need to survive in order, and making sure that we are always held in warmth. Or at least that's what I can get from those old wives' tales.
I'm not sure if you remember this one.
Which one?
Whenever you had a bad dream, your parents would come get a glass of water and put it under the side of the bed you're sleeping on.
I didn't have bad dreams often, so I can't really say that happened a lot.
Apparently, that is to capture whatever is messing with you and suck it in.
Ooh. That said, I do have a habit of leaving water just cups around the house before I sleep, and I would say that's to keep the vampires away, but one lives with me, so that's not really working that much, is it?
You gave him permission to enter.
Boy, howdy did I. So that brings us up to game time. This one is called Where Did It Come From? It's where Jess and I will read out different old wives' tales and that we have collected independently. She doesn't know what I've gotten, and we have to guess which regions or countries, if we want more points, that these old wives' tales and superstitions came from.
Get your shot glasses, guys.
We're going to have ourselves a time. All right, Jess, are you ready for this game we're about to play?
I am ready as I'll ever be.
I believe in you. So, same as before, we're going to alternate with different things that we have researched. Only instead of trying to deceive one another, we're going to have 2-point questions. Where is this old wives' tale from, like continental-wise? So we're talking one of the big 7, North or South America, Europe, Africa, Australia, Asia. God, am I missing one? I don't think I'm missing one.
You're asking the wrong person.
Hold on, I'm going to count again. So both of the Americas, that's 1 and 2. Africa, Antarctica. They're not going to come from Antarctica, girl. Let's be real.
I don't think so.
My apologies to the penguin community. Okay. And then, so for an extra bonus point, see if you can guess the actual country or region. I believe in you.
No, it's just I didn't have a country or region when I did mine.
May the odds be ever in my favor. Let's fucking go. All right, would you like to go first?
Gladly. All right, your first one, and this is one where we are guilty of. Never celebrate a birthday early.
Oof. Ooh-wee. Whoops. Whoopsie doopsie. Yeah, well, I feel like this disqualifies Latin America, I hope. Is it European?
Yes.
Thank fuck. Okay. That feels Scandinavian to me. I'm going to go with Norway, Finland, or Sweden.
Nay.
No, I got it. Okay, I got a point because it's European. Do you remember what country you found it in?
Germany.
That sounded German too. That they're very efficient over there. My husband is half German. I can say that shit.
This means, by the way, this is one of the most serious superstitions. Wishing someone happy birthday or giving them a gift before their actual birthday is terrible luck, as it implies they may not live to see it.
Ooh, all right. So what does that tell us about German culture? They really value your presence in their lives and do not want... They would have not have found Benjamin Franklin's nonsense funny.
They would have hated it.
Which is funny because he was really lobbying for German to be the language of the US and not English.
That would have been interesting.
And for the turkey to be our national symbol and not the bald eagle.
That one I know.
All right, you ready for your first one?
Yep.
All right. So, a girl who steps on her husband's shoes during the wedding night will have a submissive husband her entire life.
Why the hell do I feel like that's Japanese?
So we'll start with the continent first.
Is it in the Asias?
It is in fact in the Asias. So you have a point already. Do you want to stick with Japanese?
Because I'm stuck between Japanese or Thailand, and I want to go with Japanese.
I'm afraid this is specifically around Guangdong, China.
What?
All good, Buki. If anything, what I find funny is the idea of men scrambling to hide all of their shoes on the wedding night.
You know what I got it confused with? I think it's either Japan or Korea that the people have to bow. The person that bows the lowest shows more respect to their partner.
Good to know. Huh. Alrighty, so we're tied, Babe Buki. We're 1-on-1.
Ready for your next one?
Ready as I'm gonna be.
Gifting yellow flowers.
I feel like that's Latin America.
Nope.
Darn. Okay, well, it's gotta be in Europe. The Netherlands, the Dutch.
Nope.
Who is it?
The French.
Zut alors! Oh, that one hurts. Oh, this is why I only play French at the Ren Fair.
Gifting yellow flowers means a bouquet of yellow flowers, especially roses, is a symbol of infidelity, jealousy, or a fading relationship.
Ooh, so it's throwing shade.
It's throwing the shade.
Throwing shade in French. Wow. Oh, that's. Ooh, I love and hate that. That is it. Très magnifique, as they say. Ready for your next one?
Hit me.
All right. Stubbing your left toe is bad luck.
This has to be another Asian one.
It is in Africa.
Dang it. And then my ass was about to go Zimbabwe, but I know it's not that.
Nigeria.
So fucking close.
Which is funny because, like, if you go back into Nigerian history and, like, different tribes in Yoruba, like, there's a lot of Yoruba influence in Cuba.
Yep, because we also have that too.
Yep, and that's exactly why I picked it.
Lady Mel, are you ready for yours?
Damelo.
Two flames, one story.
Against my better judgment, I'm going to say Latin America.
No.
It was against my better judgment, so it has to be somewhere in Europe. Italy.
Romania.
It was a romance country and I got the wrong one. So what's the deal with that? What's the deal with the twin flames in Romania?
Two flames, one story means if two candles burn unevenly, some read it as a relationship conversation, and that's where we also get the candle burning to cut off connections.
Oh, cord cutting.
Yes.
Sick, no way. We're learning all kinds of things here today.
Mind you, most of these, like some of these were in connection with other like locations, and I'm like, oh shit, like they share it.
The beauty of culture, especially like, you know, you have things in common with your neighbors and you develop like your own shared identity. It's like I wanted to do an episode like this. It's like, hey, a lot of people can vibe with this. Ready for your next one?
Shoot.
All right. Eat candy or sticky foods like toffee before exams so that knowledge sticks to you.
That one has to be Chinese. In Asia.
Sticking with Asia, and you're positive it's Chinese.
Watch this one. This is a Japanese one, but I'm sticking with Chinese.
Korean. Look of despair, dog. You're winning! They value knowledge, they value doing well on exams, and candy sells out during exam time.
All right, Lady Mel, you ready for your other one?
Let's do it.
No ashes out on May morning.
I'm gonna say Europe and regret it.
You are correct.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Okay, no ashes out on May. I didn't think I'd get this far. This one feels British Isles to me, so either the UK, or Ireland.
Which one of the two?
Ireland.
From the Irish.
Oh, that was a shot in the dark.
But you got it.
So what's the deal? What's happening with all the ashes?
Ashes hold the home's luck. Keep them until after sunrise.
Interesting. Good to know. Gotta love them Celts. All right, ready for your next one?
Shoot.
Okay, this one's a little complicado. If a pregnant woman craves a food and does not get it, she'll get an itch. And this will result in the baby having a birthmark either where she scratched or in the shape of the food that she craved.
That has to be Africa.
That's correct.
I also want to say Nigeria, but I know there's somewhere else. It's something screaming in me. I still want to say Zimbabwe, but that's because that's the only fucking one I have in Africa. Wait, isn't Egypt also in Africa?
Egypt is also in Africa. There are a few North African countries that are, kind of Mediterranean influenced.
Egypt.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Morocco. The opposite shore.
So damn close.
Just south of Spain. But no, they take motherhood and pregnancy very serious, Morocco. So if the pregnant lady wants it, the pregnant lady gets it.
I don't fucking doubt that. Ready for another one?
I'm here for it.
Torn paper, torn plans.
Ooh, that sounds ominous. Latin America.
Nope.
Okay, so you got all Europe. Dang. Okay, you got me good. All right, but it has to be in Europe. Torn paper, torn plans. Spain.
Polish.
Oh shit! They know what a horse is.
They know what a horse is.
They don't need to put it in the dictionary. They know what a horse is. So what's the deal with that in Poland?
Ripping a note or letter by accident is sometimes read as a sign to slow down and double-check details.
Fair. Yes, this is my last one. I will tell you that this one has more of a historical bent, and if you get both parts of it, you will win. All right. Pea on wheat or barley seeds. If they sprout, congratulations, you're pregnant.
Wheat or barley seeds?
Or barley, yes.
Barley. That's Asian, definitely.
African.
Fuck me.
You have a chance to tie if you get the specific region. I did say historical, so I'm giving you a bit of a hint.
You may say historical. My knowledge of history is very fucking bad.
Even you.
Man, my brain just keeps shouting Zimbabwe. Please understand this. Look, and now I need to look up the fucking places of Africa.
You're allowed. You're more than allowed, Boogie. Take a lot, get me away from you. There's nothing that 100 other men will ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa. Take time to do the things we never had. Do 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 do.
The Republic of the Congos?
I'm afraid this one was in fact Egypt.
The Nile.
It's a river in Egypt. And that test had a 70 to 85% accuracy rate. And it's because estrogen in the pea stimulates the growth of the seeds.
That is true.
And that's where that whole connection between old wives and science continues to be connected, as it were.
Oh, just so you know, I had picked 2 tales per location for fun for you.
Is this challenge mode?
If you want it to be challenge mode.
Listeners, I think it's time for challenge mode. What do you got for me?
The color green.
God, that can mean so many things, but I know that it's and you already did Ireland. So I'm going to go with a place in Latin America.
I'm going to give you the hint, every place is in Europe.
Okay, so every place is in Europe. But you already did Ireland.
Remember, I told you I got 2.
Wait, it is Ireland then. Shit. Is it?
Nope.
Fuck! Which one is it?
The French.
Son of a bitch! Wait, what do they have against green?
Green is considered deeply unlucky in the theater world, as it is said the famous playwright Molière died while wearing a green costume on stage.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. No, I always remember green from the Green Carnation and Oscar Wilde, but that's a whole different thing. All right, next.
Red string on a cow.
Okay, this one, okay, they're all in Europe, so it's got to be, let's see. So the 2 for France is done. Germany.
Irish.
Okay, what's the deal with that?
Wards away the evil eye from the herd.
That.
Tea leaves and quiet predictions.
Romania.
Polish.
Son of a bitch.
A playful practice. People may glance at tea leaves left in a cup and read patterns as a hint for the week.
There we go.
Don't gift an empty wallet.
That also sounds suspiciously German.
Romania.
Aye.
Place a coin to bring in abundance.
Be fair, I also feel weird gifting empty wallets. I don't do that.
I understand that so much. Toasting with water.
Okay, that one has to be Germany.
It is Germany.
Thank goodness.
Never ever toast with a glass of water. This is considered extremely bad luck, as it is seen as wishing death upon the person you are toasting.
There are a lot of death wishes in Germany. But also, when you're toasting, look each other in the eye or you're going to have 7 years of bad sex.
Ma'am, you do not know how many European countries I went through that all said the same thing.
So what does that tell us about European countries' cultures? That they value?
Eye contact and sex.
That is correct. They value good sex. And with that, my dearest ghoulies and ghoulettes, we have reached the end of our old wives' tales. At least this iteration. You never know when we decide to dabble back into this section. Jess, what's coming up on the roster? Where's our next journey?
Our next journey, we're hitting with your beautiful knowledge of painful magic for beginners.
Oh boy. We don't suggest you try this at home. To quote many shows in the 90s, do it at a friend's house.
Never in your own room.
Oh, of course not. And that's at least what's going to happen next time. Where the ghoulies spill the tea. Sip, sip.
Thank you for staying after the show. Please enjoy your bloopers, and we'll be seeing you next Wednesday.
The early modern period, so roughly the Renaissance era. I can never leave the Ren Fair, Jess.
It follows us everywhere.
The Florida of hobbies. What's the other half of the vocal stem? I forgot it. Oh, employee of the month. Okay. I was like, congratulations, you're employee of the month.
Oh, Tina Belcher.
Why?
I just remember her one with Jimmy Jr. It's like, oh, I forgot my hard helmet. Why do you need a hard helmet, Tina? Because I'm gonna destroy you.
Man, I need to watch more Bob's Burgers. All right. Oh, everything I said before, tend to present. So the section I'll get there. Whoop. So the term curanderos can be traced back to the Spanish colonization of Latin America. Curanderos are the result of the mixture of traditional indigenous medicine. I'm going to start that over. Boop. Martha Few also documented the account of Felipa de Jerez, a woman who had been blinded regarding her interactions with a Colonel Guatemalan. Colonel. That person is not in the military. Let me back that up. Colonial. We had a whole thing about Colonel last week. Popcorn kernels.
Oh my god, my Spanish is fucking horrendous right now.
The Inquisition was mostly concerned with the supernatural aspect of healers rather than the botanical or medicinal recipes. Take two bits of belladonna to get rid of a problem.
Lady Mel, we're not even having mimosas today. We just got tea.
Just tea and these really yummy Sour Patch Kids that make my tongue go. I did this to myself and now I'm doing it to you. So we've watched a little, well, not we watch. If you've been watching, you're tripping and good luck, don't be driving. Traditional medicine is sometimes seen as pre-scientific. Its practices and treatments to be replaced by modern, better, more efficient science-based